All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are a one episode this week due to, well, I got sick. I still don't feel good. This is not going to be a short Thursday. No, we don't have any games to talk about tonight, but there is a lot to talk about for this weekend and certainly a recap to do of last weekend.
That's right. How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. Ready to kick it off with what's this two-step here?
Bang, bang.
It was, looking around, it was such a big football weekend that it was just a 3-day hangover, and it's certainly not that. I didn't even really get to enjoy it. I was out and about a little bit, but I was feeling under the weather and still kind of am. So, but I have all full intention to be completely back at 100% by Saturday because I'm excited. I said it. I think going into the season, I had a feeling just based on the rankings, based on the unknown quarterback situations, based on the who's really the best team coming into. I don't really know. I'm really excited for this season of college football. It just seems like it's kind of an anyone's game. And last Saturday, there was not just a whole bunch of ranked games, but I thought it was a great weekend of football all the way through a massive upset, seeing Duke rush the field on Monday night. That was nuts.
Man, no, you're right. The thing that the amount of upsets were just, and the type of upsets were crazy. I agree. It was a great opening weekend. We'll get into kind of what stands out to us, but man, there's just a lot to hit on.
Yeah,
so many thoughts.
Neither of us are going to be upset about the results of the teams we care most about, but both our conferences kind of, didn't really show out. I'd say for the SEC. We had two big matchup games. You wanted Florida to do something against Utah. You wanted LSU. If you are a big SEC fan, you want LSU to do something for Florida State. Both those teams shellacked. Both those teams outclassed. And we're sitting here going, did the Pac-12 just go into
the irony of this season's already started. Yeah. Bad weekend for the SEC, I think. Horrible, atrocious weekend for the Big 12. I don't think there's any other way to put that.
Yeah, that was really not pretty by a couple showings there. But we said I think we're both in agreement. This is the best Pac-12 we've seen in a while, at least all by rankings. They all showed up. So zero upsets. I don't know top to bottom how many of them, didn't play games, but Utah looked great with second and third string quarterbacks. USC did what they needed to do. You've got Chip Kelly, who is in the Pac-12, complaining about not being able to score, but yet Oregon somehow hanging 81 with the new rules. So clearly, it's not it's not necessarily you don't have the time to score.
No, I loved it. Because I know we haven't really done our grind my gears segment yet, and I'm sure we will at some point. We'll make that a staple. But, man, the clock rule, I don't know if it really affected anything this week, but it was certainly visible. I mean, if nothing else, the announcers made you aware almost every single freaking series. And after it's like by the 2:30 games, okay, guys, we get it. We understand the new clock rules. You don't have to keep telling them every single drive when they go out of bounds, the clock keeps running. But, I certainly believe that the clock rules will affect some games. And the grind my gear segment on that one is, who was clamoring for this rule? Who really wanted this rule of less football?
Nobody.
No fan, at least.
Yeah, right. Baseball, I get it, but I don't think college football was hurting for viewership here. Did they? You tell me. Were they able to cram more commercials into games at this point because of it?
I maybe because I just didn't sit down on the couch all day and just watch for 11 hours.
Right.
I didn't notice it to me, but I know several people who I listened to or talked to said they felt there was a little bit more commercials. Yes. So I didn't see like what the books did on over-unders. I've heard that the clock rules will take somewhere between 5 to 8 snaps away per team.
Crazy.
Per game.
Yeah.
I mean, which could be maybe 2 series at least, but yeah, so I haven't seen what it did like over-unders and how it compared to previous years, but yeah, again, didn't notice that much, but I'm sure it's, I'm sure I will at some point and be.
Yeah, maybe in some of the tighter games, which maybe Sunday or Monday recap, depending on if it's a Texas or a Bama close win, we'll be sitting here talking about the importance of the.
We will.
But
where do you want to start?
Well, I was gonna say the games that come to my mind from last weekend. If you didn't watch football, you're very aware of what happened with Colorado because it is all over the place, and I think it should be. It's a massive story, and Deion is certainly media worthy, and that's what helps.
I heard an interesting take, and just real quick, is Deion the biggest story like overall since Johnny in college football?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I probably have to look at all the stories in between Johnny and Deion, but he certainly feels like it, and it's because it's different, it's unique, and Johnny was different and unique, and there was always something going on. Well, Deion, like, I don't know, like even my TikTok feed, Instagram feed, it's all his inspirational, quotes and his interviews and locker room talks. It's like he's getting the attention, but I think it's good attention. I really don't think he rubs a whole lot of people the wrong way. He's kind of always been who he is, but he's a very positive, pro, values kind of person. He's just doing it without making people wear their jerseys on the Charlie Strong method.
He's definitely genuine, I think, in how he feels. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not. Maybe this is all an act. He's just put on a show. But at least he seems somewhat like this is who I am. Deal it, take it or leave it kind of deal.
I don't know. That was one of the interviews I saw. Maybe it was yesterday. Was someone saying, "How'd you get into coaching?" He's like, "It was I ended up coaching He ended up coaching his kids. He was taking Shiloh and Shador to football practice." And he was watching him run drills at the age of like 7 years old. And he's like, no, you shouldn't do it that way. And he kept trying to help and interject. And one thing and then he was coaching like massive youth leagues and taking buses of kids to the Hall of Fame ceremony, which led into high school, which led into college. And it's just kind of like, I don't think he set out to do it. I just think it's that some people have it, I do think some people are like, I'm just good with kids. I like the energy. I want to give back. I'm gifted with enthusiasm, and they drive off it. And I think Deion's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's definitely got. He's definitely got. I don't know if it's too early to call it culture, but
it's leadership.
It's crazy to me, and we'll find out more along the season how good Colorado maybe really is, or if TCU is just not good, whatever, or are they both good? And it was just a great game, but man, the transfer portal really showed out.
The whole weekend, I think the whole weekend it showed the ability to turn seasons. We're going to go talk about Texas State and their massive biggest win of their program, biggest loss of Baylor's program. And I think you just spun in circles like 100 times. He's
got an audience today.
But based on the transfer portal, and you saw it all over the place. Georgia Tech played Louisville pretty darn good. Should have won that game. Could have won that game.
Your boy
on transfers.
Your boy.
I also didn't know Chase Lane transferred there as a fifth-year senior, which he's a phenomenal receiver. He just fell down the depth chart at A&M. So, yeah, I mean, you're taking a former starter and in a former wide receiver one from A&M and putting him onto Georgia Tech.
Right.
Absolutely, they're going to make a difference.
Right.
Crazy.
And yeah, I mean, you talk about the Florida State transfers. That receiver, that came from Michigan State, caught 3 TDs. And in the Texas game, AD Mitchell from Georgia caught a TD and was affected. So, yeah, the transfer portal, if they don't get a handle on it, you're going to have kids every season just jumping team and team and team. And I don't think that's good for the sport, but
that's something we've never really discussed. I'm a fan of kids being able to play immediately and not have to do the whole sit out thing. But I do expect that as we see what looks to be the professionalism of college football, if you're going to start paying kids money or letting them earn money, whether it's, hey, come do a car commercial for me and go to this school sort of thing, there's going to need to be some sort of can't pull the bait and switch move. Almost like a contract, an obligation.
I think they do contracts. I think a lot of them do contracts now. I've heard several recruiting stories of where
well, you would expect that.
Kids from the previous class show them the contracts.
and I think like if you're talking about the exchange of money, you are talking about professions. Therefore, there needs to be the professional business relationship. If it's not under the table anymore, then and you can talk about it, then I do think there has to be those types of obligations. That is probably what's going to keep it around. Now, the kids that don't get NIL deals, they go and then they can't play, so then they want to transfer somewhere else. That's probably going to, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a scholarship. Hey, if you get a full scholarship, you're obligated to something, pay it back. The other school has to give some money back to a school, something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, no one's asking my opinion on it, but I would be in favor of like a 1 year, like you're allowed one free transfer. That's it. And then if you want to transfer again, then it's got to go before some kind of like special reasoning. Like I would be in favor of that.
Interesting.
But the fact that, Texas played that Rice kid, the JT Daniel has been on 4 freaking teams.
Well, yeah,
5 years.
I was thinking about that as well. It's like, I did not know he was there now. I'm like, well, I don't really think you can just transfer around and stay in college forever. Like at some point, you really shouldn't be playing 27-year-olds.
There was a kid. There's a defensive player, Agofu from LSU, that was on Texas for the last 2 seasons. He was at Notre Dame before that. Now he's at LSU. It's like what? Like it's not. You just keep jumping shit. Like you're just going from team to team to team.
Yeah,
you're a mercenary, and it's just I don't think it's a good thing for college football to be able to do it unlimited.
Yeah, or maybe if you're willing to do a second transfer, you lose a year of eligibility.
Yeah, maybe it's something like that.
If you really want to use that second one for some reason, you're just not going to be able to.
Yeah, I think I've heard stories about there's like a American Coaches Association. They met in the spring, and that apparently was a big topic on how do we wrangle this transfer portal deal in. But man, it was what really stood out to me. I haven't seen, and again, I'm not speaking for the whole conference, but specifically the marquee games of the day for the SEC: Florida, Utah, LSU, Florida State, and South Carolina, North Carolina.
And I would say that one game is probably the most disappointing to me. I mean, you pull the game day around, you make it the night game, and it was not.
What stood out to me watching those games was how we always had this image in our head of these SEC mammoths on the line of scrimmage just pushing people around. I mean, they got pumped. All 3 of those squads got pumped in the trenches. And I haven't seen major SEC names like that much at least get just bullied in the trenches like that in a long time, if ever.
I I think if you're going to take an objective or even a rational SEC fan who's not going to try to make excuses, people are going to say, South Carolina, really? All right, got it. But have they really ever bullied anybody around? Are they really?
Well,
I'm just saying.
I mean, they were picked as a dark horse East Canada this year.
Yeah, and maybe they shouldn't be. Maybe we're or maybe North Carolina is going to be incredible. We know Mac Brown can coach. We know Drake May is crazy good.
Yeah,
they were really good last year. They looked really good. They looked really good in that game. That's just what I'd say. So, like, I think it was a big win for the ACC last weekend with some great games. Yeah. Now, Florida hadn't really been very good in a while, and that probably upsets a lot of people, and people are wondering why, even with Napier there. But how many coaches has Florida gone through now since Spurrier or since Urban Meyer, where it's been, no, this is the one, this one's going to stick. No, this coach is the one, this one's going to stick. And it's just like, I feel like there's something wrong with that program, and it could be nothing more than they are desperate for former glory, and therefore they're not willing to, wait for the 10-year plan. They need to have it in 10 minutes. And so they just keep recycling. I think every time you lose coaches, you lose players, you lose recruiting lines.
Fair enough. But it's not like it's his first year in the season. He just turned over a bunch of players.
No doubt.
Like, I mean, this is Florida. This is a staple.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I would agree. What I would say in regards to the 3 games is the biggest surprise. And if you're going to say disappointing, that's got to be Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw it discussed, but
South Carolina, -2 rushing yards for the game.
Yeah, crazy. That's
South Carolina against a not good statistically North Carolina defense. That was nuts to me.
That's got to be really bad coaching. I mean, I cannot imagine. Even with Spencer Rattler running around, you'd feel like you should have gotten more than a yard.
-2 yards rushing as a team.
That's crazy, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, going back, LSU, that was a disappointment. And Florida State, I think, just whipped them.
I'm not upset to see it. What happened? What happened was what I wanted to happen, but I'm a Florida State fan, and I do not care for LSU, or Brian Kelly, but the team that everybody should be afraid of, in my opinion, every single year should be LSU. Yeah. The amount of talent in that state is higher per capita than any other state in this country. There is nothing else going on in that state. There is no other college to compete with. The student body spreads itself out into Houston and Dallas and Austin and obviously all the way into Florida. LSU should be able to just rule the roost, in my opinion.
They're no less than 2 years from national title at any point. They just get the right kids. They're no less than 2 years.
Yeah. And so, but I heard it said on ESPN, it's a great point, is like they have some DB who's a transfer in from Syracuse who came through the portal.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, why? Why, when you're LSU, is that the best that you can do? Not to put it like Syracuse is fine, but really?
Yeah.
And like I heard that, and it's like I think the fans feel that. They're like, we're Louisiana. Everyone's got that pride, but could you imagine if Texas had one college and it was like getting run over? Because that was a beatdown. That was lack of conditioning, bullied in the line, didn't show up for second half, 0 game adjustments at halftime. Now, we know Florida State's been building. Like, people have been talking about them. But goodness.
It was almost like, I mean, you could just see it watching the game, especially in the second half of the game. Like, Florida State just wanted more. They just wanted more, and they were just meaner about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it didn't look like LSU was up to the challenge. It just really didn't. It's like
not hungry.
very complete, very like yeah. In LSU, Florida State just was hungrier. You could see it in the body language almost, and just straight bodied them.
I'm gonna be real straight about this. That looked like a Brian Kelly team from Notre Dame. And I know everyone's like, nah, he's good. But the thing is, Brian Kelly never really sealed the deal. He had, and everyone's like, oh, well, Notre Dame's overrated. Well, they would hang on. They would be right there at halftime for a lot of games, and then lose and fall apart. And I think it seems like the way he is he gets angry, but he doesn't motivate. And I think like Ed O was a motivator. Now, maybe he was a bad manager and a little promiscuous and other things, but like he was a player's coach. I think
100%.
I think Dion is a player's coach. He's just more disciplined than
pure emotion. Yeah, Kelly's not that way for sure.
And I think that's where it is. It's like they get punched in the face. He gets punched in the face, and he just doesn't respond well.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's interesting to see what the rest of the season what that looks like with them. Because I did as someone who picked them to win the West, I did not like what I saw.
Yeah,
in the second half.
Yeah. I mean, I did because it opened up the door a little bit more. But yeah, I didn't see much more out of West teams. I think I saw Auburn put up points.
Yeah.
Now, talk about a team who didn't put up points. I don't know if they really had something to prove or what, but OU on Arkansas State was goodness. I think Butch Jones was crying on the sideline.
I watched the game, saw them score in 4 plays, 3 and out, take the punt to the house, and yeah, I mean, just a team playing like with a little bit of just a statement, like let's just get this bad taste out of last year's out of the mouth.
Arkansas State normally doesn't have just an awful team. I mean, that's a Gus Malzahn. Butch Jones is not a nobody. Just very shocked to see the blank.
We'll see. We'll see this week against SMU. We'll see if that defense is for real and if it made any strides. So, I didn't really care that much about it, but touch on the Big 12 real quick. Did you hear the stat? If you bet $100 on Texas State to beat Baylor outright, Colorado to beat TCU outright, and Wyoming to beat Tech outright, you bet $100.
22 grand or something.
I heard it was 66.
I knew it. Maybe that was probably it. I did see.
Well, I heard it was 66 because it was
as a parlay. Right?
Baylor was like a 30-point spread.
Yeah.
TCU was a 20, and I don't know what Wyoming Tech was, but it had to be in the 20s too. I mean, that's just insane. Like,
it's like, I mean, I don't know much about Tech. I know some people have been hyping them up. Obviously, they got some talk at media days, but you going on the road to Cheyenne. I mean, Wyoming has not been a nobody lately.
That's a game Tech shouldn't lose. Tech shouldn't lose that game. No matter how many, whatever way you slice.
I'm surprised by a 20-point spread on the road is what I'm saying.
I don't know what it was. I mean, it could have been less than 2 touchdowns.
But no, you're right. 3 massive upsets. Couldn't be happier about Baylor. Couldn't be happier about Tech. Just me. It's like that's a couple loud TVs that I love seeing get put kind of back in their place. Baylor particularly, it also takes a little bit of weight off of the Appalachian State loss by A&M last year because you always I needed you guys to lose to Rice, so at least it's like but see like that. Well, that was us last year. You lost this year. Like you had Kansas, you had your Kansas loss, but that was like 3 years ago. So,
I mean, the Appalachian State that loss will never go away. You know that, right?
I kind of forgot about it.
Hey, I never forgot about y'all losing to New Mexico State when I was in the Zone Club that one year. That was like 2002 or something like that, 2003.
You're going back too far.
The home opener. I'll find it for next week.
Yeah, bunch of rough years back in like the Franchione era. So
you know what bugs me though is Baylor fan is so quick to go on a rant when they're good. And then like when they lose, it's like, oh, rats.
Telling you.
Darn it.
I don't really care about. I don't really care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah, let's get rid of Dave Aranda. He's
that
not
was
good.
that mentality that when I was there and they're all out in the parking lot, and as soon as they win, they just flood it in, just like take over. I'm telling you, I do not trust a Baylor football fan.
Not only did they get beat, they got whooped. They just got straight 42-31.
Yeah. And all game. Ridiculous.
I mean, how do you let a Texas State team? I mean, and their team stats aren't great. I mean, they ran the ball 39 times for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns. So that's decent. It just, yeah, that was. I mean, crazy.
Look, you did score 31, but you let Texas State score 42 on you.
Dave Aranda.
Dave Aranda's former LSU stud defense. Been there. No excuses. Should have all your guys, but
they get embarrassed by Utah.
Oh, they lost their quarterback. They will be embarrassed by Utah.
They get embarrassed by. You'll see what the heart is of a Baylor Bear.
The game's in Salt Lake, right?
No, it's in Waco.
Oh,
and Cam Rising is cleared to play, but they get embarrassed by Utah.
Nah, if there's a team in the Pac-12 that will play with a chip on their shoulder until they win a national championship, it'll be Utah.
I mean, this could be real. I wouldn't know how Dave Aranda. Maybe his buyout's just too big after the big, after the Big 12 championship, and they don't want to pay it with the revenue stream they're about to get. But still, that's that's a program on a downhill slide real fast.
Who's coaching Texas State right now?
GJ Klein. He was a real stud in high school quarterback. Yeah. His dad was a coach, and then he went to Texas for a couple years, didn't play, and then he transferred a couple spots. But I mean, he's been become an up and comer.
That's what I was trying to think.
Yeah,
that like a smaller school got to that job. Young guy, offensive.
Yeah, I'm not going to put this curse on him, but he may be Spav again. I mean, just like I said, coming from Spav, who knows?
Yeah. Well, Spav's like at Cal right now, but no, it didn't really necessarily aspire. But yeah,
he was a stud in high school, and then he was in the NFL for a while. Yeah, he went this way. He was at Texas, then transferred to Tulsa, and then was like bounced around the NFL and the Canadian Football League.
Okay.
And then he was at UCF last year as co-OC and quarterbacks coach.
That was it.
Yep.
UCF.
So, yeah, look for him to get that, kind of next kind of second-tier job probably in a year or two.
I mean, Texas State bumps up to, like a SMU, maybe. I'm trying that level of job. There's not a ton of them in the state of Texas, but
yeah, I mean, certainly a Houston would take prior run at him. UTSA would be a step up if
UCF
leaves.
Well, if they had an opening and went back there, but
yeah. Anyway, no, I mean, I never thought I'd see the day Texas State would beat Baylor. I mean,
I did not see any reasons why they would have lost. It's first game. I don't know that it's, bad quarterback. No, the quarterback got hurt. Yeah, I don't really know what they'll end up making out of that. It will be interesting to watch them if they can rebound. What did you hear?
Oh. Are we about to get taken over?
It's the other Texas two-step.
The future Texas two-step.
Now, I did not watch really any of Tech Wyoming. So
I didn't either. I didn't even know they lost until.
But I watched all of TCU and Colorado. Now, Colorado came out. They looked good. I definitely thought that they were going to get tired. I just assumed that they're going to be well coached. They're obviously better caliber than they were a year ago, but it's 86 new players or something like that. How could it happen? Even though I thought TCU was wildly overrated, barely won 6 games last year, 6 of those games to get in, had a great semifinal, and then just completely got exposed. Shouldn't have been there. But I don't know if that's what we saw more of, because that TCU team got dismantled. They lost 4 or 5 of their best players. Best receiver, best defender, quarterback.
Yeah.
Duggan was a leader. Miles Broles, what is his name? Good-ish, but not. You know what he did not do? Because that's the exact same game. That's the exact same type of game that TCU won 6 of last year. Close call, but the difference was in those games last year, Duggan said, put it on my shoulders and I will us to win. The difference was they did not have him. They're still the same mediocre, and I think they met a mediocre Colorado team that's way better than 1-11, and they got beat. And they got beat by energy, and they got beat by coaching. And now that's that. I don't think Colorado is the number 22 team in the country.
No, I don't
a lot of hype. Got to rank them. Keep this thing going. But the only way they're 22 is the fact that they beat number 17. But it's only number 7 or 17. Like, what were they technically ranked going in?
I looked at that game, and maybe I was just enjoying it too much, just the back and forth, and also just sort of the behind the scenes dislike for Purple Baylor. But I didn't think TCU, especially on offense, played that bad a game.
Scored 42 or something.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like they were trying to go punch for punch with them instead of just saying, why are we trying to track meet these guys? Like, let's just settle it down. Let's just try to do a little clock management. And it's almost like that Briles, Kendall Briles, with his fingers just kind of going crazy, saying, we got to chunk it all over the air, like Dad would be proud kind of deal.
And Sonny Dykes, that's their style.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was kind of Travis Hunter was the difference in that game, though. Some of those plays he made were just insane, but I didn't think TCU played that bad of a game on offense. I thought they played really well on offense, and I think in a lot of weeks could have won that game. So
no, that Travis Hunter, man.
Jeez.
I believe that the Heisman should really be a consideration of the most standout athlete.
Agreed.
Not the best quarterback award.
Agreed.
And 129 snaps, the number of tackles, over 100 yards receiving, and an INT, and not just an INT. That interception was ridiculous.
It was insane. Like I really just jump off my seat and was like, oh my God. And I looked over at Travis, who watched the game with me, and I just was like, oh, and he knew it too. Like, you need to be a football fan to see how good that was.
The fans were like dumbfounded. Like, it literally, he dove, but then he almost hung in the air and just continued to extend like Superman, and then caught that ball. And somehow, like 8 inches off the ground, turned and completely controlled it. Not like the
athletics of the play are phenomenal. The football IQ play is just as good, if not better. To be able to peel off your man, knowing that situation, and to peel off your man like that, and I don't want to harp on it too much because everyone and their mom has done it this week.
Yeah,
phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal play. Phenomenal play. Just amazing player. Yeah. He was the difference in that game.
Maybe the best social clip I saw of the week has been TCU fans yapping at him. You're overrated. You're overrated.
Throw it to
And he caught that in front of them and was like, who said it? And they were literally like, ugh.
He did. Who said it? Who said it?
That was crazy. And I love that. Like, I think that's that Dion confidence. Like he didn't have to yell back when he was confronted.
Right.
The level of confidence.
He just knew it.
And,
he knew it. I'll show you.
That's it. It's like, I'm going to come out and do this. And one of my, my Dion quote of this week is some press conference, I think going back within the last year, he's like, your opinion of me is not the opinion I have of myself. So it doesn't matter what you think. And I'm like, I think he teaches people that. Like, you don't care what other people say. Your opinion of yourself is what's going to drive you to that next level of life, of the game. And he puts that in people. And I think that's how his players play.
Seemed like it.
Yeah.
No, it seemed like it for sure.
Incredible game. For that reason, all eyes on Colorado, Nebraska. I love it. An old Big 12 rivalry.
I was able to get it in the game, TCU game at Colorado plus 9.5
wow.
for this week.
Oh, so I'm really excited.
I know.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that.
Yeah.
Is that the morning game?
Yeah, big noon. Yeah, big noon kickoff.
They're noon. A&M goes at 2:30.
It's a good.
I really wish we're going to talk about that. I really wish we were the night game, because night game in Miami just seems kind of cool. A 2:30 in Miami is like, it's sunny. And then Bama, Texas is
Texas. Yep.
is the night game.
And SMU, Oklahoma, sneaky good game. Sneaky good game at 5, kind of sandwiched in between there.
What time is Texas?
Do we need to touch on the abomination that is Clemson though, or do we just leave it?
Big shock. That I don't know how that sits for the ACC. It certainly paved the way for Florida State at this point. I think Florida State is headlights forward, nothing slowing us down from the playoff, and they certainly seemed like a team that would be playoff bound and worthy. I'm
not willing to bury Dabo yet, but if you look, if Clemson falters this year, 9-3, 8-4, it'll be really hard for them to get back up off the mat with this public perception, and I think we'll look back to maybe that game as being like, that was it. Maybe.
Maybe. But maybe this is just me. I think Clemson rolling 8-4, 9-3, they should be thankful. Or they should be happy. That is Clemson. They're a 16,000 at most private school in South Carolina that really hasn't done much until Dabo came around. They had a championship in 82, but they have been a household name over the last 10 years for sure. But come on, boy.
I would disagree. I think there's no if USC can do it out in LA, there's no reason Clemson can do it on their coast.
You don't think USC has got more glamour, allure, history, and money?
Yeah, but you're just making the comparison versus versus the last 10 years or the last 100 years. It's like who's more there's a lot of kids now that grow up Clemson fans that weren't Clemson fans 15 years ago, but they are Clemson fans now.
Really?
Now,
big Clemson fans that aren't just out in that area that are ACC. I don't know anybody in Texas.
If it wasn't for Lincoln Riley, I don't think USC would be where USC is right now. That's all Lincoln Riley factor.
Oh, I would agree, but
it's not just like school.
No, I think there's USC fans that they're kind of cool. It's the Trojans, it's the colors, it's the history, it's the multiple Heismans. I think you go out and you're gonna find some people wearing USC gear just because they've got a ridiculous amount of celebrity alumni.
Okay,
but I think your statement is, if USC can do it, why can't Clemson do it? If that's the case, then I'm saying, why couldn't Texas Tech do it?
Well, but I think you were trying to make the small private, school versus
Yeah,
like the big state institution. That's where I
sure.
thought you were going with that kind of comparison.
Well, other than it's in South Carolina, not Southern California.
But a more fruitful recruiting
Well,
recruiting ground than
certainly
probably.
more competitive.
Yeah, but a lot of kids, and I don't know. I'm not ready to bury Dabo yet. I'll give Dabo the benefit of the doubt. Again, a lot of weird games. You're inside the 10 4 times.
I know, and
Just
that's why I'm
weird,
wondering.
weird
Dabo
things.
really nothing more than some really good quarterbacks: Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence. For
Yeah.
goodness sakes, are you kidding me? That Trevor Lawrence. Do you know Trevor Lawrence never lost on a Saturday until he got to the NFL?
Yeah.
Like, crazy. And then it's DJ, and all right, he's good, but he's not great, therefore not good enough. And Cape Klubnik, it's
So here's the thing about Klubnik is that if you don't know, people don't know, Klubnik was right there with Quinn Ewers and Wegman as they were the top 3 QB recruits in that class. And of course, Quinn reclassified, went early, but those were them. If Wegman, which I think Wegman's going to be that guy, I think Quinn has every tool to be that guy. I don't see why Klubnik wouldn't be that guy either. Like he was right up there with all of them. Sometimes he was the best in the class.
Just because sometimes it happens.
Maybe sometimes it happens. So I don't think it's natural. I don't think it's not lack of natural ability with Klubnik. Maybe it's something else. But again,
right programs, right? But you're not.
I guess
wrong. So hey, I'm not burying Dabo either. I know a lot of people came out of the woodwork and said dynasty over, dynasty dead.
Yep.
He had his chance. That was the game that he needed to put. But they weren't just like the other. They didn't have a 5-7 year. They didn't even have a 7-4 year.
Yeah.
Or 7-5 year. But they just sat with the expectation. They came out and handed over the biggest win ever to another program. Again, it was on the road, but tell you what, Mike Elko's a heck of a coach. Aggies miss him on defense. I mean, he's a good guy.
He earned himself a nice future paycheck with that win for sure.
Yeah,
he really did. All right, that's enough on week 1. Week 2.
Well, we didn't even talk about our games week 1 though.
I mean, do we need to?
No, I was happy.
I wasn't happy necessarily. I saw some good things. I saw some bad things from Texas. You don't know whether was it first game just being vanilla. You're not trying to show Alabama anything new or whatever. I liked how the defense played. I'm not upset with would I have liked a 50-3 win? Sure, who wouldn't? But 37-10. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
So my response is, first time in a while I've seen A&M come out and score 50 points. Definitely didn't happen last year. Covering, I told you I wouldn't take A&M to cover just on a 38-39 because they don't do it. So for those reasons, I felt like we did not try to score 52 points. It happened just based on the team. So I was happy with that.
The offense.
It seemed very smooth. It seemed like the communication across the field. I only saw Petrino get upset once, and at the same time, it was nice to see Petrino getting upset. Jimbo's down there without his stack of papers. He just seemed like he was managing the game, so it looked pretty good.
He looked he looked like he didn't know what to do. I was laughing. I was laughing to myself about it. He did. He looked lost. I'm not really sure.
Well, you're blowing out a team and you're just kind of coordinating. I'm sure he's just kind of chilling and talking. We'll see if it gets a little bit more intense in the future. I don't think there was much to do.
But it was that uncomfortable. It was that uncomfortableness. He looked very uncomfortable.
I didn't get that read.
I don't know.
Now, I do want to see the O-line on our end play better. We did not just run all over that team. I don't really know about their rush defense.
I was just looking at the stats, 29 rushes for 134 yards and 1 touchdown.
And I think we ran 4 or 5 running backs. So I'm glad we're carrying the ball.
Excluding the quarterbacks, yes. Very running back by committee.
Yeah. As it was going to be with the loss of Devon Achane.
Yeah, I mean, Amari Daniels, 7 carries for 51 yards. He was your leading rusher.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, interesting that you would think that would be more of a, especially in the second half. Let's just lean on him. Let's just
everybody got pulled in the third. Even
maybe
watching Max Johnson come in. So anyway, I'm excited for Miami. I definitely think the defense got to be there. I love seeing the passing game. I think the coaching staff I think Petrino is going to be a good fit for coming up with a scheme. Obviously, it'll be a test. We'll just see if we have to run the ball or not.
So interesting that line. So the line opened at 4.5.
Yeah.
And it's actually dropped to 3.5.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of pundits, experts come in on Miami.
I did not watch Miami's game last week. I don't know how they played, how they looked, anything about it.
Are you nervous at all?
Not in a way I would have been last year after having just lost to Appalachian State. I mean, yeah, like last year I was like, what the hell? What the heck? What's going to happen here? Right now I'm like, we came out, everybody's healthy, everything seemed to click. I definitely saw some weaknesses, but New Mexico wasn't playing light. They were rushing and they were not getting to Wegman. He was making great decisions. I feel way better with him under center than HK from last year. I think the receiving core is great. Defense is going to be good. So I think they got to play well. It will be a good test. I'm glad we're getting a test in week 2 and not another cupcake and not going to be down there for a while.
I think the loser.
Was he great?
I think the loser of the game has more. Like it'll affect them more than say the winner.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. All right, you beat the number 22 team or you beat an unranked team. You're not getting a whole unless it's a blowout. I don't think you're getting big spotlights on you. But if you lose, you're like, uh-oh. How bad is that loss?
Yeah, I mean, well, and both teams coming off disappointing years last year, and it's like, okay, here's your first real test, especially maybe it's a blowout loss. Either way, not going to look good for the current, maybe where things are going.
No, I'll say if A&M loses the game, there's going to be a lot of conversation about the SEC. Now, there's been this everybody like you likes to have this conversation every single year. Next year, I bet you'll feel differently. Some magically you'll be like, God, you know what? I feel like the SEC is just actually really good no matter what.
No, we've had this debate. It's not any real Texas fan is not going to sit there and chant SEC.
Well, we'll see. Now, I saw a poll that was, there's this rule in the SEC, no noisemakers allowed, but yet Mississippi State's allowed to have their bell. And it was, who's going to complain first, OU or Texas? And everyone's like, Texas for sure.
That's a good one. Yeah, no, I actually like A&M to win. I think I wouldn't be shocked if Miami wins. But I do think A&M is going to have.
I'll give you my just honest gut feeling. This is that intuition feeling.
All right.
I think the team is gelled. I think they're good. I think Petrino and Jimbo are in a good spot. I think DJ Durkin fits in well. Last year, it felt weird. There was coming off that recruiting class, all eyes. It was like number 6, and it was like, what are you going to do? And it's just like deer in a headlight, a bunch of 18-year-olds couldn't handle it, wheels fell off. Put it back together by the end of the year. I think that momentum through the offseason, I think putting Wegman there, I think everyone's looking at it. I think he throws a great ball. I think he leads. I just think they're feeling good. I don't think there's a lot of fool's gold on it. Number 6 last year, I kind of was a little bit that nervous. I'm like, number 6 on a bunch of freshmen playing starting football doesn't fit well for what I've seen out of A&M in the past. This feels a little bit different.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely going to hedge my emotions with my betting.
I know how you do it. Yeah,
I know how to do it. So, but no, I do think A&M at this point is just going to have a little too much talent for Miami in the end. I do think Miami will put up a fight. I don't
they'll
think
fight.
Yeah.
I think they'll fight. I don't know if they fill out a crowd, a midday afternoon crowd or not.
Did you see they were giving away Georgia? If you bought an A&M ticket, you got a free Georgia Tech ticket in the same seat.
No, I did not.
Yes, they're giving away Georgia Tech tickets. It's so bad.
Wait, Miami is giving away the Georgia Tech ticket?
Yes, if you buy a Miami Texas A&M
ticket, because they play Georgia Tech the next game.
Yes, you get a free Miami Georgia Tech ticket next week.
Yeah, see that's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That's hard. That's really hard for a school to rally behind.
Yeah.
All right. Alabama and Texas.
Ooh. So it was funny. I was texting on my Longhorn threads that up until this morning, I was very confident.
Oh.
Very confident. Something this morning to put the fear of God in me about this. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
They just listen to the podcast or all this stuff. The record that Alabama has at home under Saban is just insane. Like you can't ignore all the trends working against you as a road team in Brian Dennehy under Saban.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think this Bama team. I don't even think Texas necessarily needs to play its A+ game to win, because I'm just not a big believer in Milroe. But that being said, I don't think they can not get a good performance from their defense or Quinn and not win. Like, I don't think this is going to be like some kind of weird where they can rush the ball for 250 yards and win kind of game. The offensive line is a little concerning for me after watching it against Rice. I know Sark was hiding some stuff last week, so
we talked about that. Both of our teams. We talked about that for both of our teams. Were we going to be given the luxury of being able to not open up the full playbook? And I think there's no way Texas. I've watched a lot of your game. I was like, I think you probably could have scored 50 points if you had started throwing out all your best plays, and I just don't think you did.
Yeah, there was no need to, and they got through the game injury free, which is, I think that was like my number one thing, which is get through the game, no injuries, no bangs. Although CJ Baxter got hurt, but I'm taking the points. I'm taking the +7. I think that's just too much. I think this team's going to come in feeling they know they can win. They play well. I just wonder if it's just going to be a little bit too much underneath the lights at that stadium. Yeah.
I mean, you tell me that this team, whatever the average age is on the team, what's the biggest stadium, the biggest environment they've played in? Because it is known 6 o'clock game at Bryant-Denny is absolutely nuts. It's not in the Big 12.
Where did they play? I don't think they didn't, because they didn't go to LSU. Probably the Cotton Bowl, honestly. That may have been the biggest one.
And again, that's going to be a split audience.
Yeah.
Like this one's going to be different.
Yeah.
Because Johnny did that impossible, again, talking about that home record. And I just remember the interviews. The kids were like, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
a night.
Well,
I mean, you're coming in 11, 10.
yeah,
This could be this. All of Alabama is going to be there in the parking lot or elsewhere. It's going to be an experience for sure.
yeah. You may have a couple. I mean, but see, even going back to 2019, you still have some players on that team. But even then, yeah, I mean they played LSU, but that was in Austin. So I don't think any of these kids have ever played in an environment like that. And I think that could just be a big factor in the end.
Yeah.
But again, I think it would not shock me at all if Texas wins by 10. It really wouldn't. They have the advantage skills at the skill position against, well, certainly against on their defense versus their Alabama receivers. I think it's pretty even in the trenches. And then I think it may come down to just how well Quinn plays. It really does. It really might. But yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe like Bama by 3, Bama by 2 again. Honestly, if I'm going just with my head, not my gut.
I mean, even when I was picking who's going to win the West, you kind of pick off the history, and the history is not the roster. The history is the fact that Bama reloads, Bama plays well.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had really good quarterbacks in the last 10, 12 years. Prior to that, like the AJ McCarron, and I mean, he still went to the pros. Or
you're thinking
the guy who does
McElroy.
I mean, they were good, but they were not the Tuas and the Bryce and Eagles quarterback went to OU.
Hurts, Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen. And right. I don't know. Jury's out, but
now I will probably wake up Saturday morning and be like,
ready to go. Be like, I'm effing doing this.
I'll be like, there's no way Texas is losing this game. Like,
give me my Paloma and I'm ready to roll.
Exactly. Maybe it's just about the way I slept. I don't know, but there's just, yeah. I mean, right now at this point,
should we get together this Saturday for football? Because I don't think I've got plans.
Let's see. I don't know. We might have plans. Let's talk about it later.
All right. Other games. Where's game day even?
Game day's in Tuscaloosa.
Of course. Yeah, I don't even know why.
Yeah,
a lot of energy there. I'm going to take A&M, and I will also be taking Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree that they probably were a better roster last year. I think that they played better as the season went on. Barely won in Austin. I think it'll be different.
Yeah.
I also think Saban wants it, and he is tired of getting beat by assistants. He went on that ridiculous run, never being beat by an assistant. Jimbo beats him. Kirby's beaten him now 3 times. And I do not think he wants Sarkisian to come back in. I don't think he's going to have Lane Kiffin come back in and not look at all of his staff right now and say, if they even sniff victory, you're all fired. So,
and thinking back to some of the things I've heard during the week about this game, I think you could make a legitimate argument. Texas has a better roster on the first 22 versus the second 22 versus Bama. I think you make a legitimate roster. They're a more talented roster. They're a better roster. But what Texas fans have been really sort of, what's the word? Just like disgruntled with especially the last 2 seasons is that you watch Sark and his play calling. He's sort of a little obsessed with the deep ball. You watch him early in games; he'll try to go for it on first down a lot, and it won't connect. And Quinn, he could still be a good deep ball thrower, but he probably is not at this point. it's not his strong suit. His strong suit is quick game, intermediate throws. If Sark tries to come out and play that deep ball game, trying to put the defense on their heels early, I don't like the chances. If he comes out trying to play smart, control, quick game, then as I'm watching that game, my confidence will grow and grow.
He needs to play checkers, not chess.
No, I don't know if it's that. I think he needs to take what Bama's going to give him.
Yeah.
He needs to take what Bama's going to give him and let the playmakers make plays instead of trying to manufacture the deep ball throws and those kind of plays. So,
well, it will be interesting to see if he's really been able to. If he learned enough about Saban, like, is he a mentalist and he knows him, or the other way around? Because I think that tends to be Saban's trait. Is he's okay with these coaches coming in because he knows they're going to go back and become head coaches elsewhere, and he'll play against them again. I just don't think he's scared of anybody because he's like, I will know you better than you know me by the time you leave.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, no, I can't wait. Other big games. There's not really a lot more on the table. Oklahoma, SMU, again, good game. We talked about that.
I expect OU to win for all the reasons. We'll just see how close it is.
Although if you're talking about double-digit dogs winning outright, would shock me.
Yeah.
Would shock if they get into a shootout and SMU just has the ball last.
That'd be great.
Iowa State, Iowa. I feel bad anyone who has to watch that game.
I mean, what's their trophy?
Cyhawk. The Cyhawk trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had some good games in the past. It's going to be like 3-6.
Utah Baylor, we talked a little bit of that. Notre Dame, NC State. Could be a good one. I think Notre Dame, that's actually kind of one of my plays this week. I think
the whole Pac-12 is playing baby schools at this week. I don't think
anyone
matched up.
Ole Miss at Tulane, ranked versus ranked.
That's true. That's crazy.
I'll be taking the over on that one.
Yeah, right.
Track meet. Yeah, other than that, I mean, again, we got some good time slot games for us, specifically.
Yeah, all day of football.
Yeah, but other than that, nothing really stands out a ton to me. I mean, Wisconsin, Washington State. I wouldn't be surprised that some of these do turn into good games. Auburn, Cal.
What time is Nebraska and Nebraska, Colorado is the morning or
that's noon? Yeah, that's the noon game. Yeah, so I mean, again, I probably won't even be doing multi-view like I did last weekend, but yeah, you could watch it.
Game day, 1 hour break, and get ready for noon.
Yep.
Exciting.
All right, man.
Exciting. Okay.
Good to see you.
Check in with you later, and we'll do recap on Sunday.
That was fun. Thanks, everyone.
All right. See ya.